Every living thing on Earth, every tree, every whale, every dinosaur, every human who's ever existed started because of one accident. An accident so unlikely that if it had gone differently, you wouldn't just be dead, you would have never existed. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth looked less like a planet and more like hell. No oxygen. Oceans that could barely support chemistry. Asteroids crashing nonstop. And somehow, somewhere inside all that chaos, dead matter crossed an invisible line and became alive. So today, we're going back to the beginning. Part 1. The Spark. If you could stand on Earth 4.5 billion years ago, you'd probably stop existing before you had time to complain. The ground wasn't really ground. It was rivers of molten rock. Volcanoes erupted almost everywhere. Asteroids slammed into the planet so often, the surface barely had time to cool down before getting punched again. The atmosphere? Completely unbreathable. No oxygen, no blue sky, no birds, no trees, no oceans filled with fish, just toxic gases wrapped around a planet that looked permanently angry. Imagine trying to build a house while someone keeps throwing grenades through the windows. That was Earth. If modern Earth feels like home, early Earth felt like the universe had accidentally left the oven on. Nothing about it suggested life was possible, which makes what happened next almost unbelievable because somewhere beneath all that chaos, the universe crossed an invisible line. On one side, there was only chemistry. On the other, life. Nobody knows the exact moment it happened. That's the mystery. How did dead matter start acting alive? Life isn't just complicated, it's unbelievably complicated. Even the simplest cell contains microscopic machines that build proteins, repair damage, store information, generate energy, and communicate with one another. It's less like a tiny blob and more like a fully automated factory. Imagine shaking a box full of smartphone parts and expecting it to assemble itself. Sounds impossible, yet somehow, Earth built something even more extraordinary. Life. Without engineers, without instructions. Scientists think it wasn't one lucky accident, but the biggest chemistry experiment the universe had ever seen. For hundreds of millions of years, Earth kept mixing chemicals, adding energy, and trying again, until eventually, something changed, and nothing in the universe would ever be the same. The laboratory. If Earth really was trying to create life, it didn't happen in a single afternoon. It spent hundreds of millions of years experimenting. Picture the entire planet as one enormous laboratory. No scientists, no beakers, just oceans, lightning, volcanoes, and an unbelievable amount of time. Every wave mixed chemicals together. Every volcanic eruption added new ingredients. Every lightning strike pumped energy into the atmosphere. Imagine cooking the same soup for 500 million years. Eventually, something extraordinary is bound to happen. Scientists think Earth's oceans became the perfect mixing bowl. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. Not living things, just the ingredients needed to build them, like flour, eggs, and sugar. Not a cake, just the ingredients. Then Earth turned up the heat, lightning flashed, volcanoes erupted. Ultraviolet radiation bombarded the oceans. For millions of years as the planet kept rolling the dice, until one roll that may have changed history forever. Simple molecules began sticking together, tiny structures became larger ones, until one of them did something that had never happened before. It made a copy of itself. That sounds small. It wasn't, because the moment something can copy itself, it can also make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes become improvements. Maybe it survives heat better, maybe it reproduces faster. Repeat that process for hundreds of millions of years and you've accidentally invented evolution. No blueprint, no master plan, just countless tiny mistakes, with the occasional brilliant accident. But here's where the mystery gets even stranger. Scientists still can't agree on what that first self-copying thing actually was, and that's where the story splits into 3 competing suspects. Suspect number 1, RNA. You probably know DNA, it's the instruction manual inside almost every living thing. Some scientists think that before DNA took over, RNA stored information and copied itself. If that's true, every living thing on Earth, including you, may trace its ancestry back to one incredibly successful molecule. Not an animal, not a plant, just chemistry that refused to stop copying itself. Suspect number 2, deep-sea hydrothermal vents. Enormous cracks in the ocean floor, constantly blasting out mineral-rich water. These vents provide heat, energy, minerals, and tiny natural chambers where molecules could become trapped instead of drifting away. Nature's pressure cookers? Some researchers think life didn't begin near the surface at all, but miles beneath it, in complete darkness. Ironically, one of Earth's brightest moments may have begun where light has never existed. Suspect number 3, space. Some scientists think certain building blocks of life arrived aboard comets or meteorites. We've actually found organic molecules inside space rocks. Not proof that aliens planted life here, only that the ingredients for life exist beyond Earth. Which raises an uncomfortable question. What if life on Earth, didn't entirely start on Earth? So, which theory is correct? Maybe all of them. Maybe none of them. Scientists are still collecting evidence, still running experiments, still arguing. And that's exactly how science is supposed to work. But regardless of which theory wins, one thing seems almost certain. At some point, chemistry stopped behaving like chemistry and started behaving like life. Earth had produced its very first living organism. Tiny, fragile, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to change an entire planet. And what happened next wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident that almost wiped life back out. The origin. The first living thing on Earth was honestly kind of pathetic. No eyes, no brain, no muscles, no heartbeat, just a tiny organism that could make copies of itself. That one ability changed everything, because every copy wasn't perfect. Sometimes tiny mistake appeared. Usually it was useless, but once in a while and the mistake made the next copy just a little better. Maybe it survived heat more easily, maybe it absorbed energy more efficiently, maybe it reproduced faster. That tiny advantage got copied again and again, until the older version slowly disappeared. That's evolution, not a ladder, not a plan, not perfection. Just one simple question. Did you survive long enough to have children? If yes, your genes continue. If not, your genetic story ends forever. For hundreds of millions of years, Earth became the largest experiment the universe had ever run. Trillions upon trillions of tiny experiments. Most failed. Most disappeared forever. But every once in a while, one random mutation changed everything. One ancient microbe discovered a trick so powerful, it reshaped Earth's atmosphere, wiped out countless organisms, and accidentally made humans possible. The greatest environmental disaster in Earth's history, but was about to be caused by bacteria. The paradox. Today, every breath you take contains oxygen. You never think about it, because your body expects it. But for almost half of Earth's history, oxygen barely existed. The first organisms didn't need it. For many of them, oxygen was poison. Then one group of bacteria accidentally invented something extraordinary: photosynthesis. They learned to capture sunlight and turn it into energy. There was just one problem. It released oxygen as waste. At first, nothing seemed unusual. A little oxygen entered the oceans, then more, then even more. For millions of years, it kept building, until one day, Earth itself had changed. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover the air itself had become toxic. Every breath burns. The environment you've adapted to no longer exists. That's exactly what happened. Scientists call it the Great Oxygenation Event. It wasn't an asteroid, it wasn't a supervolcano. It was bacteria. Tiny organisms triggered one of the biggest mass extinctions our planet has ever experienced. Life nearly destroyed life. But evolution wasn't finished. While countless organisms died, a few adapted. Instead of avoiding oxygen, they learned to use it. And oxygen turned out to be an incredible fuel. More energy meant larger bodies, complex organs, nervous systems, eyes, brains. Eventually, fish, forests, dinosaurs, whales, you. Every eagle in the sky, every shark in the ocean, every human alive exists because ancient bacteria accidentally polluted the planet billions of years ago, which means your entire family tree begins with microbes that nearly wiped themselves out. Honestly, that's the weirdest success story ever told. Life survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, and mass extinctions for nearly 4 billion years until one curious species looked up and asked, how did all of this begin? Even after everything we've discovered, we still don't know the exact answer. Maybe it was RNA, maybe hydrothermal vents, or maybe it's something we haven't imagined yet, because science isn't about having every answer. It's about never stopping the search. And perhaps the greatest product of evolution isn't humans, it's curiosity.